Hey guys, this is for page 254 in your math textbook. In lesson 6.7, we were talking about comparing fractions. And in this question, or on this page, for A, B, C, and D, you are to compare the fractions and then explain your reasoning. And so this is one of those things that I know that some of you are not crazy about having to do all this writing, but I need you to try your best on this. I have already completed A and B, and I just want to walk you through those real quick. And if you get behind, then all you have to do is pause the video and catch up, and then pick back up where you left off. Okay, so A is asking you to compare 3/4 and 1/3. One of the ways that I know this is that I know that 3/4 is greater than 1/2. Okay, it's almost a full whole. And so 1/3 is less than 1/2. So that means that 3/4 would have to be greater than 1/3. And I have the wrong thing written there. That would be 3/4 is greater than 1/3. Sorry about that, guys. Okay, so in my second question in B, it says we're comparing 3/5 and 3/8. And so this allows us to use one of the strategies that it talks about in our previous video on comparing numerators. And so we can, if we're just comparing fractions, we can know which one is greater and which one is lesser by comparing numerators, because the numerators are the same. And so then we look to the denominators, and we know that if we divide something into 5 pieces, those pieces are going to be larger. So 5ths are larger than 8ths, okay? So if I have a pizza and I divide it into 5 slices, then those slices are going to be larger than if I divided it into 8 pieces. And so the fractions have the same numerator, so they show the same number of parts. And a 5th size part is greater than an 8th size part. So I know that 3/5 is greater than 3/8. All right, so let's move on to C and D. Again, you can pause your video, rewind it, whatever you need to do if you need to spend some time catching up. All right, so our next ones, in C, we're looking at 3/4 and 7/8. So I'm going to find, in this one, I can use my strategy of finding a common denominator. I know that 4 is a factor of 8, and so I can take my 3/4 and multiply it by a 2 in my denominator and turn this one into 8 pieces as well, okay? So 4 times 2 is 8, and I have to multiply the same number on my numerator as I did on my denominator. So 3 times 2 is 6. And so what I'm comparing is 6/8 and 7/8. Well, now all I have to do is look at my numerators, and 7 is larger than 6. So 3/4 is less than 7/8. And so in my explanation, I'm going to say find a common denominator. And then what I did was I then write 3/4 as 6/8. Compare the number of equal size parts or I could say compare my numerators. And since 6 since 6/8 is less than 7/8, 3/4 is less than 7/8. Okay, for D, we're comparing 4/5 and 2/3. And so here's another situation where I might find a common numerator. So my numerators are 2 is a factor of 4. So I could change this numerator over here in 2/3 to a 4. And in order to do that, I would have to multiply it by 2. So 2 times 2 is 4, and then I'm going to multiply 3 times 2 as well, and that's going to give me 6. So what I'm comparing is 4/5 and 4/6. Well, I know that if I divide something into 5 pieces, something that fifths are larger than 6. And so 4/5 is greater than 2/3. 4/5 is greater than 4/6, and so 4/5 is greater than 2/3. And so here, my explanation would be to find a common numerator. And remember, that's our number on top. Numerator on top, denominator on bottom. And then I write 2/3 as 4/6 and compare 4/5 and 4/6. Since a fifth size part is greater than a sixth size part, four-fifths is greater than 2/3. Okay, I apologize for all the writing that you're having to do on this assignment. But sometimes on those state tests, they're going to ask you questions like this, and so you're going to have to try to give an explanation to your reasoning and how you found out those answers. So let's look at number 1. Which would you use to compare 11/12 and 5/6? A common numerator or a common denominator? So I've got 11 and 5 as numerators, and I've got 12 and 6 as denominators. Now, 11 and 5 don't have a lot in common when it comes to multiplication or division, but 12 and 6 do have things in common because 6 is a factor of 12. Okay? And 12, of course, is a multiple of 6. And so we would compare, we would use a common denominator. And then we could just say 12 is a multiple of 6. You might also say 6 is a factor of 12. And you should know that terminology because we cover that every single day for 11 weeks, okay? All right, can you use simplest form to compare 8/10 and 3/5? And of course you can. So Yes. And your possible answer might be 8/10 written in simplest form. And we didn't spend a lot of time on this, so it's okay if you're still a little fuzzy on this. 8/10 written in simplest form is 4/5. You can compare four-fifths and 3/5 by comparing numerators. Okay, I hope you can see all that, and I hope that you were at least able to complete this page. Even if you are still a little bit unsure about this, that is totally fine, and you're going to be okay. Have a good day. See you later, guys.